Yes, right. Enough. Goodness, enough already. Goodness. Many of you have asked me to cover Zane Griggs in the last few days. I'm not really sure why, because Zane Griggs seems, at least on the YouTube platform, to have a remarkably small audience for someone who supposedly has some gravitas. He's more arse than gravitas, it seems. This is yet another believer in the ridiculous theology that carbohydrates are necessary in the human diet. They still aren't, despite what Professor McKennicky has to say on the topic, which is completely nonsensical. It is utter nonsense. You do not need a single gram of exogenous carbohydrates in your diet, not one ever. Still, there is no argument whatsoever that a person can bring to the table that can change this fact. It is a known physiological fact. The exact requirement for exogenous carbohydrates in human nutrition is not 1 single gram ever. Still, no matter what Zane Griggs has to say, whatever that's going to be. So here are the usual caveats. Number one, I have not watched this video through from start to finish. I do not know what Zane Griggs is going to say, although I probably know what Zane Griggs is going to say, because all these buffoons have the same thing to say. And it's nonsense every single time. That's why I can do these responses live without rehearsing them, practicing them, or watching the video first, because I know what these clowns are going to say, and I know, therefore, how to deal with them. So there's that. The second caveat is, as per usual, I will pause Zane as and when I see fit, even if that's in the middle of a sentence. If he says something that is demonstrably incorrect, I will pause him and point out why what he's just said is demonstrably incorrect. If that's triggering for you, if you don't like that sort of thing, you're in the wrong place, aren't they, Ted?
Yes, you're in the wrong place in that case, in which case you can pop yourself directly to fuck.
Ted, go and twiddle the knobs, for goodness sake. He can't behave, not even for a second. Can't do a thing with him. Sorry about that. It's dreadful. What other caveats are there? The third caveat is, you absolutely, all of you should go and buy Cerule Stem Enhance, Cyactive and Plasma Flow. Stem Enhance, Cyactive and Plasma Flow. Get them in a wellness pack. That way you get an 18 to 20% price break, because you get a price break on the products and you won't pay shipping. That's if you want to pay for them at all. If you don't want to pay for them at all, but you still want the products because they're brilliant, and they are, send me an email, I'll tell you how to do it. It's not even hard. A dog with a note in its mouth could do it. Ted could even do it. Maybe we should sign Ted up. He might be better than, well, some people that sign up and never do anything. Anyway, that's your prerogative if you want to. What else can I tell you? You need to go to the link below the screen there on the yellow ticker tape that's making its way across there. That's for all things Bart, the bit.ly/Bart-KAY, that address. You can go to the merchandise store from there. You can buy Cerule from there. You can organise consults with myself from there through the Patreon higher tier system, or you can join the Patreon at the lower $10 a month tier to get access to my brand new course, which I'm recording the first video of this afternoon, all things being equal. So by the end of the weekend, it should be posted on the Patreon. The course is about how to read literature and how to understand what the literature says, what it doesn't say, and how to deal with buffoons that wave literature in front of you and say, look, here's a paper that absolutely proves X, Y, or Z. And I'll basically teach you how to show those people that no, it doesn't prove that at all, in fact, and make them look really silly. Won't that be fun? $10 a month. And you can have access to the course as long as you remain at the $10 a month or above level. Isn't that awesome? Right, let's get ready for Zane's dulcet tones, shall we? But in the meantime, we'll see who's in the house before we get started, shall we? First in was Duncan Freeman. Good work, Duncan. Jonathan has had some exchanges, clearly, with Zane. Zane is one of these folks that likes to say things but doesn't like to have things said to him, apparently. Okay, well, fine, whatever. Bev's in the house, which is good. Stompin' Beasts. How long have you been carnivore, and can you name older carnivores 65 plus? Well, it depends on whether you mean biologically or by means of behaviour. I have been in the 90% plus carnivore category for the best part of 12 years or so, I think it is. Before that, I was basically ketogenic for 27 years before that. Yes, I can name several carnivores over 65 years of age, including Maggie the Rancher, for example, from Canada, who is in her 80s and who has been carnivore actually for longer than the 65-year plus age range that you're suggesting there. So there's one. Christopher is glad that I'm calling him out. Just saw his latest video and had to turn it off. Yep. Neve is in the house. Good to see you, Neve. Hi, hi, campers. Today, I shall be mostly wearing this red checkered farmer's top. All right. The fast show was good, wasn't it? David's in the house. Ah, yes, the esteemed Zane Griggs. Esteemed by whom, by the way? Who esteems Zane Griggs? Anyone that says you require carbohydrates in your diet is not someone who deserves your esteem. They're someone who deserves your derision. They are someone who is an ignoramus. They are someone who is not possessed of the facts of human physiology. Sorry about that, not sorry. Phil's in the house. Good to see you, Phil. Alicia and John Glass are here from Mississippi. My SSIPPI. That's how I used to learn to spell it for some reason. Trace, still with us. Love it. Hello, meatheads. Marked safe from carbs today. Good. Juliet. Coach Juliet. Good to see you, Coach Juliet. Perhaps you could come on the channel one day and tell us all about your coaching. If you want to get some exposure or something, I don't know. Alan's here. And a bunch of other bigots, including, of course, the legend Mark Iron. Hobby's here. Yeah, very good. The chat is Snacksy Man's here. Good. Teddy's here. Yeah, so look, the chat is active. Keep chatting in the background while I do the response to Zane's little video here about presumably how you need carbs or something, even though you don't. So let's put him right where he's wrong, and I suspect, having not seen this, that'll be everywhere. All right, Zane, off you go, son.
Have you heard people say that there are no essential carbohydrates?
Yeah, I hear myself say it often because there aren't any. None at all. That's a fact, whether you like it or not, Zane. Still, I think we're done. Join me next time when someone else will be wrong on the interwebs before he even says, comma, but, because he's got it correct right there. There are no essential carbohydrates. None at all, zero. The exact requirement for exogenous carbohydrates in the human diet is none, not 1 single gram ever. We're finished. Somehow, though, Zane is not finished. Go on, though.
I'm sort of playing with that word.
Yeah, playing with it. That's what we're doing. We're just playing with words. No, we're stating a fact there, Zane. It's a clear statement of fact. It's unambiguous. It's not wordplay. The exact requirement for carbohydrates in the human diet is exactly none ever. Still.
Essential, as if that means you don't need them or they are.
Oh my God. Are you serious, Zane Griggs? Did you understand? Did anyone ever teach you that in the English language, English words have a meaning that's defined, usually in the Oxford Concise Dictionary? If something is essential, it means you need it. If it is not essential, it means you don't need it. Are there carbohydrates in meat? Yes. Yes, there are some. Not many, but there are some, depending on what kind of meat and how it's been treated, and all of that. Yes, but in general, there are some carbohydrates. Yes, there it is. All right, okay, so Zane says, have you heard people saying that carbohydrates are not essential? Well, yes, including myself, because it's true. And then he's saying, and then they're just playing with words because they're using that to suggest that because they're not essential, you don't need them. Shut up, dog. Which is exactly what that does mean, Zane. That's the whole point of the word. Shut up! Fuck the shut up. Don't make us come there. Would you like to say hello to the boys and girls? Hey? Come on in. Come on. Come on, dickhead. Oh, Professor Snoozy's in the house. She's a bit shouty because Mummy's gone away and left her behind. That's why she's in the office, so she doesn't chase mummy down the driveway, isn't it? Are you a cockhole? Are du en kukhol? Valdens kukiaste hull? Yes, are you? How would you like to calm the fuck down so Daddy can do his thing? The boys and girls are waiting. All right? Would that be all right if you fuck the shut up? Yes? Good girl. Okay. Oh, hang on. Oh! Sorry about that. Just had to deal with one of the children. Anyway, so yes, carbs are not essential. That means you don't need them. Good.
Are beneficial?
Nobody said anything about beneficial or otherwise. I'll tell you what, though, if you'd like to make a positive claim about carbs being beneficial, Zane, why don't you do that and see if you can back that up with anything? Shall we wait for that? Because I can preempt you on that one as well. There is no evidence that such benefit exists, actually. Sorry about that, not sorry. But, hey, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Why don't you tell us all about it? Even though you're going to be wrong.
Well, the word essential in nutrition science means something.
So what's your background in nutrition science, Zane? Besides, none at all. None whatsoever. So what qualifies you to talk about what the word means in nutrition science? And you're probably going to get this wrong too, because the word essential in nutrition science means exactly the same thing as the word essential means in any usage in the English language, because it's an English word with a defined meaning. Still.
Very different from the term essential as we use it in everyday.
False. That's the same word and it has the same meaning. That's the thing about science. We use words that have clear, unambiguous definitions precisely in order to be precise in the way we communicate the findings of science, such that they are, to a wider audience, both the scientific readership and also the lay readership. Okay?
Language. The term essential is very specific. And so there are a number of essential nutrients,
Yes.
which are, include minerals and vitamins, but for the sake of what we're talking about here, let's stick to macros. So
Okay.
they often follow that up by saying there are essential fats and there are essential protein.
Which is correct. That's why they say that, Zane.
But there are no essential carbohydrates.
That's correct. There you go. So you should probably just shut your mouth right now, Zane, before you say anything else, because there you go. You're unassailable at this point, except for your false statement around about words having different meanings. No, they don't. They have the meanings that are ascribed to them still.
Yeah. So let's talk about what essential means,
According to you.
and what those essential fats and proteins are.
Okay, well, I think we all know that. It's pretty basic information, but okay, whatever.
For starters. And so the term essential in nutrition space means, one, your body cannot make it endogenously.
Right. Well, with the caveat that it's a substance that your body cannot make endogenously, and it requires it. That's what an essential nutrient is. But the word essential still means the same thing. It means it's not optional. It means you have to have it in your diet. So if you say carbs are essential in the diet, Zane Griggs, you are wrong. Period. End of discussion. There's nothing to argue there. That is a fact. If you want to say carbs are beneficial in some way, then you need to back that up with something. Are you going to do that? Let's see.
Not make it within itself from other resources, and that they are needed for survival, to not die.
Right.
This pan will never peel off, never wear off,
That's lovely.
never leach, because it has no toxins.
Okay. So what are the essential fats? The essential fats are actually linoleic and linoleic acids. So the omega-6 and the omega-3 fatty acids. Okay. Which are polyunsaturated fats. You need about 1 to 2 grams of the omega-3s in a day,
According to whom? On the basis of what?
and approximately 4 to 8-ish grams.
Very, very accurate, Zane. Awesome. 4 to 8 grams-ish, you say. Again, though, according to whom? On the basis of what?
Of the omega-6, which are essential in the day. So
No, not in any given day. You could go some time without consuming any omega-6 and be fine if you then consume a bunch at some point so that there is some around to meet the requirement for omega-6 such that it is. And the reason, Mr. Beaumont, that he sounds like he's making it up as he goes along is, well, because things that waddle like ducks, quack like ducks, hang out with other ducks, generally turn out to be ducks, mostly. Nunus! My man Nunus! You are AWOL from Pimbatia, Nunus. Trevor the Tractor is sad. He's still sitting there in the same spot. Oh, by the way, though, I did swap out that sensor in the Ranger, and that seems to have solved it. So, there you go. Anyways, we'd like to see you, Nunus, sooner than possible. Get Trevor the Tractor going. It'll be great. You might enjoy my new driveway. It's a thing of great beauty. It's an edifice. It's a thing that will outlast us all. It's hundreds of tons worth. You'll love it. Or not. Anyway, see you soon, hopefully. Love you. There's nothing you can do about it. Right, go on though, Zane. Tell us all about how we need carbs, even though we don't.
Most, you need about 10 grams of polyunsaturated fat, which are essential, considered essential.
Considered essential. Yeah, well, that's quite a bit different from are essential, isn't it? Which is it, Zane?
Anything beyond that is not considered essential. Monounsaturated fat and saturated fat are not essential. Are they beneficial? Are they helpful? Is there a need for them in the body? Is there a use for them in the body?
Well, there are 3 or 4 different questions, Zane. Which question are you asking? If you're suggesting, is there a use, for example, for saturated fat in the body? Well, yes. It's oxidized in the mitochondria to produce ATP. For one. Is that useful? Well, it depends on what else is floating around in your body needing oxidation or being available for selection for oxidation. Also depends on the physiological circumstances at the time. It's quite a rich tapestry, really. But if you want a question answered, if you're not just being like rhetorical, you need to ask one question at once and answer that. Perhaps if you're being rhetorical, or wait for somebody else to answer it if you're actually inquiring of someone who knows more about this than you do, which I suggest is just about anybody, probably, Zane.
Absolutely. Would you benefit from having more than 10 grams? Yes. But they're not essential. The essential ones are the omega-6 and omega-3, 1 to 2 grams of omega-3, 4 to 8 grams of omega.
Again, according to whom? On the basis of what?
6. Okay. Now let's get to the essential amino acids or essential proteins. There are 9 essential amino acids. Now there's far more amino acids than that in the body, and that the body uses for a variety of things. Everything from tissue repair, hormone production. I mean, there's so many uses for amino acids and proteins, right?
Yeah.
But there's only 9 essential.
You've already said that, remember? Not 2 seconds ago, really. What is it with the brain fog with these carb-addicted buffoons? By the way, people that want to use the word buffoons in the text, that's fine. But for Christ's sake, spell it correctly. B-U-F-F-O-O-N, buffoon. Or buffoon, depending what part of the world you come from. Buffoon, not baffon. Buffoon. Right, what's next?
Amino acids that are considered essential. And the grand total of those 9 that you need in a day adds up to right around 13 grams of total protein for a day, which are considered essential. Again, these are the term essential nutrition is a very specific meaning. Not would it benefit for you to have more or to have others in your body? That's not really the question. Essential is what's needed for survival and how much.
Well, who's to say what the question is? And why would it be that?
13 grams in total of all 9 amino acids combined. Now,
so is Zane Griggs really seriously suggesting to us that we can survive, even reasonably, eating 13 grams a day of protein? Because if he is, you can all start writing that word I just told you how to spell. Because that's fucking ridiculous, Zane Griggs. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. All right. Jesus. What's next? Where's my mouse? There it is. I hate muses to pieces.
Like, saturated fat, beneficial, monosaturated fat, we can make saturated and monounsaturated from the polyunsaturated, right? We can make saturated fat from polyunsaturated fats.
You just said that. Not 2 seconds ago.
We can make monounsaturated from saturated fats. And with the amino acids, our body uses those 9 essential amino acids to make other.
My honest review on this natural
Fuck
remedies book
me,
after having
seriously?
it for a month. Look at this blood sugar page.
Proteins, which are beneficial and helpful and optimal. Now, is glucose in those terms, in that framework, considered essential? No, because our body can break down protein.
Or glycerol. Or monocarboxylates. Protein is about the last option for gluconeogenesis, Zane. Why? Well, for obvious fucking reasons.
And use lactate, which is a byproduct of glucose metabolism, and use glycerol, which is a small molecule that holds 3 fatty acids together to make a triglyceride. When we break down fat, that glycerol molecule breaks off and contributes a small amount under normal circumstances.
Rubbish. It's the primary source for gluconeogenesis, you buffoon. It doesn't contribute a small amount. It is the primary source. For obvious reasons.
To gluconeogenesis, which is the process of making glucose, right? Generally, it's mostly coming from lactate and protein.
No. False. It comes largely from lactate when lactate is elevated. It certainly does not come mostly from protein. That's absolutely ridiculous, Zane Griggs. Why on earth would the human body be so inane as to use precious protein to produce sugar if there is any fat or lactate available for that purpose at all? Why would it do that? Imbecile.
Depending on what's available. So, and in a very low carb state, a lot of it's coming from protein.
False. Absolute fucking nonsense. Rubbish.
And of course, with diabetics, diabetics are heavily have a lot of gluconeogenesis going on, even more so than someone on a zero carb diet.
What kind of diabetics are you referring to, Zane? And how did that come into it? What's that got to do with the price of fish in China in 1965? Or indeed, whether or not carbohydrates are required, or indeed beneficial, in the human diet?
Making glucose. That's why they can wake up after not eating for 8 or 10 hours first thing in the morning to extremely high glucose levels. Is because gluconeogenesis is breaking down the protein.
No, still. It still comes almost entirely from glycerol and lactate. Still.
Their muscle, skin, and bone to make glucose.
Rubbish. Absolute fucking nonsense.
That's what's happening in a low carb diet.
No, it isn't. Still. Doesn't matter how many times you say that's what's happening, Zane. It still fucking isn't.
Now, protein. Unless you've just eaten, you'll use some protein from what you've just eaten.
That's different from it's primarily coming from protein. See how that's very, very different?
But between meals or or what else is needed in addition to what you've eaten, it's coming from muscle, skin, and bone.
No, it still fucking isn't. Still.
To make that glucose, because glucose is so important.
That's why it comes from other things than the things that are required to make your body structures with, Zane, for God's sake. Because after at least 3.8 thousand million fucking years of evolution, of course the human body is so inane that it breaks down its important protein-based structures before it breaks down any fat that's stored on the... And even a very, very lean individual, Zane, has several 100,000 so-called calories available in the form of fat stored on their bodies, which will absolutely be used before protein. All right? For God's sake, what's next?
Glucose is important and vital and needed and optimal because your body is willing to break down such expensive tissue.
It does that in an emergency situation to any meaningful degree, Zane, when there's no fat or lactate to use for that purpose. You fucking ignorant cunt. Still.
As muscle, skin, and bone?
No, still. Doesn't matter how many times you say muscle, skin, and bone is broken down to make glucose, primarily in gluconeogenesis. No, it fucking isn't still.
In order to make sure glucose is available, because you're using it all the time.
And that's why you can make it from fat and lactate. Buffhead.
Even if you're eating glucose in your meals, between meals, gluconeogenesis is happening to a small degree to keep blood sugar stable. Or if there's a big physical demand or stress demand on your body, and more glucose is needed to manage that physical or emotional stress of whatever kind it is, it will make more glucose in the liver, right? The gluconeogenesis and some to some degree in the kidney will make more glucose for that stressful response.
It's not stressful. The human machinery is geared towards being adaptable and to survive a wide range of circumstances. Why would it be stressful to create glucose from fat, Zane, or the glycerol backbones of fat, or from lactate, which are basically half sugar molecules? Why would that be a stress in any way? Please explain. Shall we wait? Or even better, perhaps you could come and debate this with me face to face, Zane, if you've got a set. Unlike most of your carb-loving colleagues, none of whom seem to have a set. Maybe it's because they have enough intelligence at least to understand that should they decide to come and face me face to face for a debate, I will tear them 7 new arseholes without breaking a sweat. Because, as it turns out, Zane, I know a little bit about this. Having been a senior academic, independent researcher in this exact field, among others, for a period in excess of 2 decades. I learned a thing or two in that time, including how to deal with idiots like you, Zane, without breaking a sweat. Some of those idiots holding PhDs. So PhDs mean absolutely dick too. Especially these days, every child wins a prize. Ask Mike Israel, he'll tell you.
Will upregulate that. But in general, between meals, it's making glucose to a small degree all the time to keep your blood sugar.
You just fucking said this, arsewipe. Do you have anything novel? Do you have any extension on your so far fallacious commentary? Or do I just need to keep repeating the same fucking corrections to the same erroneous bullshit because you're going to talk around in fucking circles? Dickwad.
Stable between, say, 65 and 85 milligrams per deciliter, which is considered normal blood sugar.
According to whom? On the basis of what? Let's have an ad though.
Plan 7 Architect is a professional architecture program that allows even lay people to easily draw floor plans that
good.
Some low carb or no carb individuals.
There are no carb individuals because even meat contains some carb buffhead.
And I've been there. I've seen this in my own blood work.
No, you haven't been there because, as I said, there ain't no such animal.
When I was eating more low carb and doing a lot of intermittent fasting fasting can increase gluconeogenesis as well. Fasted workouts, which I was also doing, can elevate blood sugar by stimulating more gluconeogenesis. So your fasted blood sugar can be in the 90s, or I've seen some people even in the hundreds. Fasted blood sugar at 100, 105, 106.
We know what an excess of 100 is. Dickhead.
Right there. With high A1C levels, which is another indication of high blood sugar.
Not necessarily. That's a generalization which does not hold, actually, especially in a population of folks who do not consume any consistent amount of carbohydrates or on a regular basis at all. Sure, their A1C can sit higher than you might expect it if you don't understand why that does occur. However, it does not indicate that there has been periods of dangerous excursion to high levels of blood glucose, because the blood glucose of a carnivore eating person, Zane, is remarkably stable. Ergo, there's no evidence of a problem. What's next?
on a no-carb diet or a very low-carb diet because gluconeogenesis is elevated in order to make more glucose.
Oh, fuck me, thanks for that.
The body is using
I'm glad you're here to explain such things to us, Zane, because we're all very, very stupid. Well, one of us is.
more glucose than they are eating. So to enough of a degree that the glucose production is not only ramped up, but there's tissues in the body that are saying, hey, we're not going to use that glucose, so we can spare it for the brain. So, like, for instance, they'll say the muscles won't uptake as much glucose, so that there's more of that glucose that it's making from breaking down muscle skin.
But it still isn't breaking down muscle, skin, and bones. It's still glycerol backbones and lactate. You mindless shit stain.
Bone available for the brain and other tissues which absolutely have to have glucose. There are just certain cells that move so fast, that need energy so quickly, that glucose is the only thing that really works. Certain brain cells, certain tissue in the kidneys, red blood cells, which don't burn fat at all, right? They don't use oxygen at all. They don't have mitochondria. So
Okay, Zane, next time you're going to make a film, a video, can I suggest you write yourself a goddamn script before you begin? Because you are just waffling inanely all over the fucking place. Nothing you are saying is actually factually correct in a meaningful way. And it just makes you look the fool you are. I'm starting to see why your subscriber count is as low as it is. It's because the value in what you have to say is near zero sum. Okay, it's just excremental, pustulous nonsense that's coming out of your gob. And it's poorly arranged. Who's coming up my driveway? Goodness gracious me, I don't know. Right, carry on.
your red blood cells just burn glucose. So, and then I think in the testes for men.
Yes, the testes in men. Good.
In the eyes, there's certain tissues that just need glucose all the time.
That's right. That's why we have gluconeogenesis, Zane, which still uses glycerol backbones from free fatty acids and lactate as its primary sources.
So glucose is very necessary.
Yes. But that doesn't mean you need to eat any ever, because you don't.
It's very beneficial.
Oh, well, going to back that up with anything? Other than you've just given us an opinion. And I'm always sure to remind people every time I come online about opinions, aren't I? Yes, they're just like assholes. Almost everybody's got one, and it's full of shit, Zane.
And when we look at the elite athletes, right, the best high-performing athletes, they're all eating a lot of glucose.
So, and actually they're not all. There are a large number of elite athletes these days who just quietly, Zane, and they're not screaming about it. I'll tell you why they're not screaming about it. It's because it's their advantage. A lot of them are actually fat adapted and are not consuming a large amount of carbs at all. The ones that actually understand exercise physiology and human nutritional requirements, which you don't, Zane. So that's why you couldn't possibly get your head around why that works. I have a number of clients who are professional athletes, who are carnivores, Zane, and they are at the top of their games variously. And I'm not just talking about endurance sports, I'm talking about combat sports as well, and burst and repeat type activity sports. Okay, so basically all this pouring out of your gob is ignorant, excremental, pustulous nonsense still.
That's a majority of their energy and of their total calories in the day.
There you go. See, if anybody was at all unsure as to whether Zane Griggs is an imbecile, there you go. Calories, he says. As if that's a meaningful gauge on anything as regards human metabolism. Or, indeed, whether it is physically possible for a living organism to consume a calorie. Because it isn't, Zane. Not one ever. It is against the laws of physics to consume calories. You idiot. You fucking... The dog has just taken a dump on my floor. Oh, well, there we go.
Coming from glucose. So in that sense, glucose is very beneficial, and it's so important that
Well, hang on. From what sense is glucose very beneficial? Because you've given us absolutely no reason to accept your opinion that glucose is beneficial there. You've said athletes eat a lot of glucose, therefore it's beneficial. That's the best you've got? Goodness gracious me. Yep, here's an example of an elite athlete who doesn't eat a lot of carbohydrates. His name's Jonathan. He's a good friend of mine. He's also tried to help Zane by explaining a few things to Zane. Zane responded by blocking him and removing all his messages and stuff. So, there it is. You're an idiot, Zane. Nothing but a complete fucking idiot. And you, speaking of idiots, we'll deal with you later. Fucking hell. Ted, you could clean that up for me while I'm not cleaning up dog shit. Oh, well. It's hard to get the help, isn't it?
It's willing to break down lean mass to make it.
But it still doesn't. Except in an emergency situation, Zane, when there is still no fat or lactate to speak of. You fucking ignorant shit stain. Still.
So this confusion over whether something is essential
Yeah, I think we know who's confused here. It's very clear who's confused, Zane.
is really irrelevant. The term essential, whether something is an essential nutrient, is really irrelevant to whether or not it's beneficial.
But you've given us no reason to accept your opinion that carbs are beneficial. None at all. Very happy to debate it with you anytime you like, Zane, face to face. Twice on Sundays if you want. Anytime at all. Just drop me an email, we'll make that happen, and I will tear you 7 new arseholes on this, because there's no evidence to support your claim of benefit. None at all. Still. No matter how many times you say it's beneficial, it still isn't established as such. It's an opinion still, it's a theology, Zane, still.
Or even important, or very needed.
Okay, now who's just playing with words? Waffling inanely.
To be just operating.
Let's have another ad though.
Let's be real. Most people over 40 use ChatGPT like it's Google. Copy, paste, ask a basic question, move on. That's
At a functional level.
Functional level, you say, Zane. Tell us all about functional functional brain activity. Tell us all about that. You sound like Milton Mills. Maybe it's a thing with carb-addicted buffoons.
Without creating a lot of stress, because in fact, part of that gluconeogenesis, that elevated gluconeogenesis, comes with elevated cortisol.
So, cortisol is a hormone that has many roles in the human body.
Glucagon and adrenaline, which of course are stress hormones.
That's a label appended to them by people who want to append that label to them. They're just hormones. They have a role. They have many roles. One of those roles is in the gluconeogenic process, which is not stressful still.
What I ran into was kind of hitting a wall of stress where I was interrupting my sleep. I wasn't recovering. So I had some personal experience with low carb really causing me to overtrain and underfuel.
No. A lack of understanding of exercise physiology is the cause of overtraining, not the diet you're eating, buffoon.
And elevating my stress hormones way too much.
Again, with the word stress hormones. No, that's just an opinion. Remember what we said about opinions, buffhead?
And I found a lot of improvement in my sleep and in my stress markers in my blood work and even my thyroid.
Your blood work, you say? Well, should we debate that as well? It's clear that you actually have no background knowledge here, no ability to think critically or individually. You have really not a fucking leg to stand on here, Zane. It's quite ridiculous, frankly, beyond words.
Because low carb can actually interfere with thyroid conversion. From
Absolute fucking nonsense. And when you say can, it leaves maybe not two entirely on the table still. It's nonsense. Shall we move on?
From T4 to T.
We could debate that too, if you like, Zane. The actual empirical science behind these assertions that you're making, because there isn't any. These are all theologies.
3. Over time. May not right at the beginning, but as your body adapts to it, that's what we see. We see textbook interaction.
Textbook interruption in our thought processes, is it, Zane?
Thyroid conversion, elevated stress hormones.
No, again, with the stress hormones label, still false. Doesn't matter how many times you say stress hormones, that's still not stress hormones. They're just hormones that have many roles, including gluconeogenic process, still.
Interrupted sleep and many other side effects.
Yes, I agree absolutely. I think that people that are as limited as this buffoon clearly is really seriously need to have a script. And it should probably be viewed before you make the video by someone who actually knows what they're talking about to check that the script gives good information, because Zane, you're not giving good information here. You're giving us a theology based around an opinion and some anecdotes. It's ridiculous. Yes. Who's being warned? Who's being naughty? Don't be naughty in the chat if you're being naughty, boys and girls. We can't have any of that. Ted will be around. Yes, we're aware of biomechanics. Biomechanics is obviously a fucking imbecile. I'm not seeing biomechanics comments coming up throughout the live stream here in the list. I did see one before the stream began, which I dealt with. Anybody that wants to can feel free to block biomechanics permanently, frankly, because he's an idiot. And we're all too intelligent to be bothered with such nonsense, frankly. Thank you for the 2 squids. Appreciate those, Jonathan. Very good. Yeah. All right.
You can look up side effects of low energy availability, LE.
So what's low energy availability, Zane? Who defines that? On the basis of what? And while you're at it, you can perhaps explain to us what actually energy is. You might find that interesting. That's a real interesting rabbit hole.
EA or REDS, relative energy deficiency in sport, which is seen in a lot of athletes.
I wonder why. Maybe it's because of their inappropriate diet, largely.
It's a low calorie and low carb diets.
No, nothing to do with calories whatsoever, and you still can't consume any calories ever, Zane, not one. It's physically impossible, still. Basic first principles, son.
So, for reference for what I'm talking about with
What are you talking? You're not talking about anything, buffhead. You're rambling, inanely, talking in circles, giving us your opinion and espousing theology, is what you're doing. Goodness gracious. Coming in late to class. Report to Ted afterwards. Yes, report to me, down the back. Right by that guillotine. Thank you, Ted. You can twiddle the knob some more, if you don't mind. What's next?
the term essential in nutrition, and I've included.
Spit it out, son.
Some
studies
to show this, to demonstrate this, the use of this terminology in this way in the captions.
Oh, so fucking what? You mindless cunt. So what?
So feel free to check those out.
Yeah, we won't bother, because we know what essential means. We're not so easily confused, Zane. Essential means required. So as relates to exogenous dietary carbohydrates, we can correctly state without fear of contradiction by anyone who knows what they're talking about that the exact requirement for exogenous dietary carbohydrates in human beings is not 1 single gram ever still.
Now, the people using this term, I don't know if it's out of, ignorance.
Right. So projection from, well, ostensibly what a man here who seems to be unbelievably ignorant, not to mention well and truly over the top arrogant.
Possibly in the actual, meaning of the word essential.
Fuck's sake, this is painful, isn't it, kids?
and dietary aspect, because as it, they're not dietarily essential, but are
That's
they
right. So they're not essential.
beneficial or necessary for your physiology?
Well, you've given us absolutely no reason whatever to accept your opinion based on your theology that carbs are beneficial. In this video, not one single reason that we could get our teeth into at all. You've just said, okay, okay, carbs are good, okay, carbs are beneficial, stress, stress though,
Physiology? Absolutely. There's a lot of nutrients which are not considered essential, which are beneficial.
But sure, and carbs aren't one of them, apparently. We could debate that too, if you like. As I said, I think I already said we could debate that one. What the fuck are you doing now, dog? Jesus Christ. Got ants in your pants.
And necessary for your physiology to function properly.
Sure. Anything that's necessary for your physiology to function properly is essential. And carbs are not one of those things in your diet. Still.
Those two things don't mean the same thing. So whether that's, again,
Essential doesn't mean the same thing as essential. Yes, it does, Zane. Essential is essential. If something is essential for the fit functioning of a human body, it is essential. Still. And carbohydrates are not one of those things in your diet. Still.
out of ignorance.
Yes, ignorance. Zane. One of us is ignorant, yes. One of us.
Or some people maybe out of just a way of trying to influence people.
Ah, right, that's what we're here for. Just here to influence people. Nefariously, just for some reason, of course. Yes, more utter fuckwittery, isn't it, Field Marshal DC of the Meat Militia? Do you know, the other day, I had on 2 pairs of socks and my house boots, and I wanted to go outside and I couldn't be bothered to take the house boots or the extra pair of socks off so I could put my boots on. So I put your boots on, Dave, and they were still loose. Dave has big feet, is what I'm saying. Right, what's next? A shock collar. That's what's next. Good. Yes, Zane Griggs is his name, apparently. Very good. The ultimate cringe monger. Yes. If any of you paid for the documentary Animal, you should have seen the odd zooming into his face. It's a doc about a carnivore diet, not your paid for looks. Yeah, good. But Zane knows how to cure diabetes with carbs, but no, he doesn't. You can't cure diabetes with carbs. That is impossible.
Into agreeing with them or following what they're trying to get people to do with their diet. That's not for me to judge.
That's right, it's not, because you're an ignoramus without any fucking training in this field whatsoever, apparently. Without any background in this field whatsoever, apparently. You are yet another severe Dunning-Kruger sufferer with a serious ego problem and, frankly, seriously limited IQ. And what you actually need to do, Zane Griggs, is shut your ignorant fucking mouth permanently. But before you do that, come and have a debate with me so that I can show why that is much more clearly to your face. T7 you arseholes without breaking your sweat, so I will. It'll be fun for everybody except you. Okay? Anytime you like, send me an email.
On an individual basis, I'm sure there's a little bit of both out there. Not in the same person, but out there, right? A bit of ignorance.
Fuck me. Do you have anything to say that makes even the slightest sense at all, Zane Griggs? Anything at all?
And a bit of manipulation. And using the term, knowing that most people don't understand the meaning of the word.
Right, put your hand up in the chat if you don't know what the word essential means. Shall we wait?
Because they're not familiar with nutrition science.
Neither are you, Zane, clearly, patently, at all. Not one jot.
So again, check out the links in the caption.
Why would we? Why would we check out anything you have to say? You're an imbecile.
And reconsider if this is something you're saying. You might want to be a little more careful.
Nope. I am very, very careful. I'm the ultimate personification of caution, care, and exactly how I craft every fucking sentence I say publicly, Zane. Not one single word comes out of my mouth that isn't carefully thought about first to make sure it's unassailable. Anything of meaning, anything worthwhile. Okay, there's a bit of comedy and stuff I throw out there for fun, yeah, but when I'm talking about the actual meat and potatoes, hold the potatoes because you don't need them. Every single word is crafted to be unassailable in fact. Hello, Shell. Lovely. What are you doing here? You're welcome, of course, but somebody told me you were too busy for us these days. We were sad. We're glad you're here. We're nearly done, though, so yeah, perhaps report to Ted afterwards for giving him a spanking. He likes that sort of thing, Shell. Go on, Zane, though.
With the terms that you're using to make sure you're using them properly.
Yes, right. So is there anybody out there who is at all confused about the definition of the word essential? No, we're all clear on that? Good, okay. Not a problem then. No problem at all. Are you fucking kidding me?
I
Seriously?
heard people say
That's it, Zane? Essential doesn't mean what you think it is meaning. Carbs are beneficial because I said so. That's my opinion, said Zane. Gluconeogenesis uses protein all the time in preference to things that it actually does use in preference to protein, he said, which was wrong. And gluconeogenesis is stressfully said, which is wrong. So the exact value of Zane Griggs' video there, other than his grist for our comedy mill and a bit of education, don't know. He's confused. Well, maybe he's confused. What he is ignorant, arrogant, and a sufferer of Dunning-Kruger. That's clear. Anyway, I'm thinking this word is not meaning when you think it is meaning. Inconceivable. And stuff. Right, so pretty much that was what I wanted to cover off today. Zane Griggs' little video. Let me remind all of y'all that you can support what I do by following me in the various All Things Bart link down there. So you go to that link and you can go to the merchandise store and buy all sorts of fine things like this fine fuck off cup. You can get one of those. It also comes in the right-handed version. You can get the Meat Militia cups. You can get t-shirts variously. All sorts of, my merchandise store is going gangbusters, boys and girls. I mean, I'm getting about $15 a month in overrides on merchandise. So thank you very much for supporting my merchandise store. Sarcasm. You can also join my Patreon. Let's say at the $10 a month US tier, which is I think called the Seekers of Knowledge, and that will get you access to my brand new course on how to read literature and how to put holes in the literature, well, how to identify the holes that are already there. How to deal with an idiot that's waving a paper in your face saying, here, look, here's a paper that absolutely proves X, Y, or Z. The first of those videos I'll probably record this afternoon, all things being equal. So by the end of the weekend, it might be available. Get yourselves over to Patreon, get yourselves signed up there. If you want to talk to me face-to-face, one-on-one, the real me, not this character, the actual human being behind this character, and you want to talk to me about anything you like, science-wise or whatever that's something I'm confident to talk to you about, we absolutely can do that too. There are 2 or 3 tiers there available called discussion tiers that you can sign up to for that. I think they're $100, $200, and $500 a month. And it's the same product, but the price depends on the fullness of the tiers. When the cheaper tiers are full, you have to pay more. When the cheaper ones become available, you can snap those up if you want to. And you can hold on to those as long as you like, and I promise not to put the price up if you stay on it. As soon as you jump off it, though, it might not be available anymore to you. So there's that. What else can you do there? Oh, you can buy Cerule products, and you should. Why? Well, because did you know that your body renews and repairs itself using a system of adult stem cells that unfortunately, as we age, winds down? Isn't that terrible? It's one of the reasons we age and die. Not the only one, but it's one of them. Luckily, the Cerule products are geared around reversing that trend. Isn't that fantastic? And where do you get them from? Well, you get them from there. Well, actually, that link down there will do it too. There's a link to the Cerule products at that bit.ly link that you can click on. I suggest 3 products: Stem Enhance Ultra, Active, and Plasma Flow. That's the green, the blue, and the red bottles, as you can see on the screen up here. Get them together in a wellness pack on Subscribe and Save. You'll get 18 to 20% discount that way. Or if you don't want to pay for them at all, but you still want the products, send me an email to the email address which you will find on the About tab on the front page of my Fine YouTube channel. And I'll tell you how to do it. It's easy. Really. Right. So there it is. Pretty much in a nutshell. The only thing really that's still left to clarify is perhaps what it is you should have for breakfast. And I think I'll clarify that for you now. Steak and eggs and eggs and steak. That's what you should have for your breakfast. Delicious. Eggs and steak and steak and eggs. Just making sure you heard. I think they got it. Those of you that were late to class, report to Ted down the back for a bit of, right next to that bucket of soapy frogs. See you then. Hit the button, Ted. Anytime you like.